Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Let's Talk Automotive. This is episode 50, Peter Fuyun.
Can you believe it? A half century, I nearly brought in my cricket kit and helmet and everything.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. In tonight's show, we have the latest and breaking news. We're talking to Mazda Jansen. We're talking about the ladies learn to ride. We review the Mazda CX-30, and our guests tonight is Joel and Annie from Speed and Sound.
Oh, I can't wait for that interview. That's a fantastic magazine. And then, of course, we're going to have Game Time. And I know you've got something up your sleeve tonight. And then, of course, we're going to do our regular How Things Work slot, where we're going to talk about...
And a bit of a twist at the end.
Well, a bit of a twist at the end because we're having to abandon our Tappet of the Week because we just keep getting blocked. So we're going to start a new segment called Meme of the Week, and we'll give you some details on that a little bit later.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Talk Automotive. So, Peter, it's a very, very sport-filled weekend coming up.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to F1. Where's the F1 this week?
So F1 is in Germany?
No.
No.
No?
Where?
Is it in Germany?
Yeah.
F1 or
F1.
MotoGP?
Oh, MotoGP. I'm getting confused. I'm so excited. F1 is at Paul Ricard, of course,
Yes.
in France. MotoGP in Germany. And then don't forget we've got... IndyCars, for those of you that, if you really want to see some proper
I
racing.
actually watched a bit of it last week. It's very entertaining.
So that's just out of interest is going to be at Road to America.
Okay.
And if you look at the layout of the track of Road to America, it reminds me a lot of SWAT Corps.
Okay. All right. And then obviously the Bulls are also playing some rugby, but you and I will be...
The Bulls, what's that?
Yeah, rugby, what's that?
Oh, yeah. Doesn't go from...
All right, guys, let's get straight into this week's news. Mazda Jansen joining us from Motel. How are you doing, Mazda?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be on the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. Mazda, we're going to be talking about the Ladies Learn to Ride segment that you guys were involved with over the weekend. But I just wanted to get a little bit of an idea about your passion for riding bikes. If you can just tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I ride bikes, and I actually started quite late in my life, and that's part of the passion now as well, to get more ladies to ride, and a lot of them think it's too late, and it's never too late. At any age you can start. So I started after 40, and it's something I wanted to do my whole life. My dad was a motorcyclist. I grew up with motorcycles, but just never really rode. You know, I rode little bikes when I was small, but then life happens, and we study and we work, and before you know it, you're old. So I then thought, it's now or never, and I bought a bike and I went for lessons, and my life has never been the same. It's absolutely my passion. I finally found the thing that I absolutely love. So I ride road bikes, I ride off-road bikes a bit, so I own quite a few. I don't believe you should ever sell a bike, so I still own my first bike. So I started on a little Yamaha SR250. And I still own it. It's now my Stoffskop bike. So I'm a firm believer. Never sell a bike, and there's a bike for every occasion.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Okay, Mazda, we're talking to you in the news segment tonight because this is breaking news. You guys were involved with the Ladies Learn to Ride initiative at ADA over the weekend. Why don't you just tell us, this was the second installment of this initiative. Why don't you tell us what the story is behind this?
Yes, so last year in August, Road to Race in Shelby, South Africa launched an Iconic Women campaign, where they basically chose a few women just to kind of inspire women to get over fear, to get over their preconceptions of what females can and can't do, and just get out there. And one of the things that we each had to do something we're passionate about. So myself and as Myrtle, we did a Learn to Ride a day for the Iconic Women that was part of the campaign, and we invited a few other ladies as well. And this is where it was born, because we literally had phone calls and emails and messages afterwards from so many people, ladies and gentlemen, I must say, asking us, when are we doing it again? Because they just loved the casual and safe environment in which we trained. It's really almost a supportive kind of environment that we train these ladies in. And we start from scratch. They start by pushing a bike just to get over the fear of this machine. And then this year we thought, we've had so many people asking us, when are you doing another one? We launched a Know Your Oil campaign on Mix FM. We had quite a few ladies that was involved in the campaign asking really good questions about oil. And we thought, what a great incentive it will be to give a prize away for one lucky lady to learn how to ride, and we will cover the costs. And this is how the next day was born. Because after that, a lot of ladies wanted to join as well. And we opened it up, and we had 24 ladies that joined us on Saturday to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And they ranged from people who've been on a motorcycle but didn't have the confidence to really ride, to people who've never even been on a motorcycle. They just really always wanted to do it. So we taught them how to start a motorcycle and how to actually just push it and learn the throttle control and the clutch control like that.
Yeah, it's amazing, Mersha, to see the guys at ADA. There's a video up now where the guys learn to control the clutch and actually walk beside the motorcycle. And this is round about 8:30, 9-ish in the morning. And then at 10:30, you see all the guys going up and down on the grass, and everybody's riding a motorcycle. It's amazing to see how quickly the guys get a hang of it.
The guys?
It really is. And it's so satisfying. I mean, I always love that moment when the fear out of their faces turn into absolute joy and accomplishment, that they can do this. And what we always love is, there's refreshment breaks, and even the last time we had cupcakes and all sorts of things. The ladies don't get off the motorcycles. They by 12 o'clock, they're really thirsty because they realize they haven't even had a break and had something to drink, because they just they don't want to get off it. So it's really great to see.
I mean, just a quick one. This surely must be a world first initiative. I mean, I can't think of any other examples of this.
I haven't seen anything, so I'm sure it is. Yeah. I like it. And I think that Mersha's got something good going on here, because I spoke to some of the ladies on the day, Mersha, and one of the things that I think came out of that for me, and something that I didn't sort of necessarily think of, is that they enjoyed it so much to be together as a group, and to learn and to go through this whole experience as a group. And without the guys there, because and unfortunately this is probably true, the guys always a bit of a, off show and whatever the case is, and they were just in a safe and a comfortable environment, and it showed.
Well, we can see from driver training, when we've got ladies in the car, they listen, they adapt very quickly. Yes. The guys are all trying to show off, and they never get it right. So,
well, exactly, it's called ego.
100%.
So Mersha, can we take it that this will be an annual event?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's just been it's been so successful, and we actually were sold out within just over a week. So we have a long list of people on a waiting list already messaging me, asking me when the next one is. Right, thank you guys, and thanks for having us on the show.
Awesome, have a good one. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, Pete. So we had the privilege. We had the privilege of having the Mazda CX-30 for the past week.
Yep.
And you did most of the driving in the car. I'm still, I don't know.
It's an enigma.
Yes.
They should have called it the Mazda Enigma. But let's go through the review and you'll see why we say that.
Let's have a look at the review, and this is proudly brought to you by BB Motor Group. Right, Peter, for you, let's talk automotive and our review and experience of this, the Mazda CX-30. Can I be quite honest, I actually didn't even know about the CX-30. I thought there was a CX-3 and a CX-5, and then they said there's the CX-30.
And we're going to discuss the actual positioning of the CX-30 when we go for our drive. But in brief, this really is a Mazda 3 that's raised.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a little crossover vehicle.
That's why they added the O.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Listen, if we look at the exterior, it's a very, very nice looking car. We've come to expect that from Mazda. Nice flowing lines, but not as aggressive as the CX-3 and CX-5. Do you agree with me?
I agree.
And it's not those cutting lines that we saw on those ones.
In fact, if we look at this, it's very uncluttered, especially on the front over here.
Yes.
So there's no ducting or anything that's going on over here. This almost looks like an electric vehicle.
Very, very clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so again, very clean cut, awesome lights. Everything looks nice and clean. There's a very, very small light at the bottom. Small attention to detail, which is always nice.
Yeah. So those are the indicators. And one of the things that you'll see when we're driving the vehicle is that one of the nice touches is when you put your indicator on, the indicator light in the cluster doesn't just go on, off.
Yes.
It dims off.
Oh, really?
On, dims off. Oh, it's
And I see the integrated lights in the mirrors as well. Nice features. I just want to actually get into the car and go and drive it.
Well, let's do that. I mean, we all know what the Mazdas look like. We know that they're sensational in terms of the design that they've done. But let's go put this really oddly positioned vehicle to the test.
Awesome, let's go. Right, Pete, so on the walk around we spoke about looks and, you know, it's got all the bells and whistles, but you've had the car for just under a week now. You've been driving it, experiencing it. What's your sort of first initial thoughts when you get back into this car?
So I've experienced most of the driving, obviously on highway, on tarmac. As you can see, we are now off-road.
Yes.
And we are off-road for a specific reason, because this is
it's sort of a crossover SUV type. So we like to take something that's termed to be SUV, crossover-ish, a little bit off-road, so that you know, that's probably why you'd buy something like this.
So I'm going to explain why I think this is a pure crossover vehicle and not an SUV.
Okay.
And the reason for that, and it's been my experience driving it for the week, is that this car handles superbly.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got a stiff suspension, which is not typical SUV. SUV is nice and soft.
Yes.
Although it is raised a little bit. So this vehicle is in fact based on the Mazda 3 platform.
Yeah.
Although it is a little bit shorter, pretty much everything else is Mazda 3, but raised.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So handling-wise, impeccable behavior on the road, nice and crisp handling. In terms of wind noise and noise vibration harshness, this is one of the quietest cars I've driven in a long time.
Yes.
So very, very refined. I absolutely loved it. I just want to comment on a few things. First of all, this is the standard normally aspirated 2-litre motor.
Yeah.
Same one that we find in the CX-5.
Yes.
Now in the CX-5 I was a little bit critical about that motor because I felt it was a bit asthmatic.
Yes.
However, it works in this chassis.
Yes. So
It's-
obviously the power to weight ratio and this is a bit better.
It's much better. So the car is quite sprightly, healthy speeds that you can achieve on the road.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have knocked the fuel consumption. I've got great fuel consumption out of this. So
Yes.
it's not reflecting there at the moment, but my week I averaged just a shade over 8 litres per 100 kilometres.
Which is fair.
Which is fair for
Yeah.
a 2-litre normally aspirated motor that is driving a big body like this. Now, the advantage of having that normally aspirated 4-pot motor is that it is quieter than a turbocharged 3-cylinder.
Agreed.
So I think it's a great package.
Yes.
And off-road, look, I mean, the only criticism I can say is that the suspension is a little bit on the hard side.
Yes.
But you can't have both. You can't have a crisp handling vehicle with a soft suspension, unless it gets really expensive.
But let's go through on steering wheel controls. Let's go through, the display in front of the driver. Let's start there.
Okay, so first of all, I think that the cluster's unique because it is a semi-digital cluster. So only the center part of the cluster is digital.
Yeah.
The rest is pure analog.
Analog, yes.
So you've got a few menus that you can go through. You can have a
Look at that. That's very nice.
Yeah. So I mean, you can look at your average speed. You can look at some of the driving information. You can look at your fuel consumption.
Yes.
What fuel?
Oh, there's your average 8.1.
There's my 8.1.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. So that's quite basic. I quite like that actually. I sometimes think the manufacturers overdo it in terms of complexity on the clusters. This has got a bit of both.
I want to jump in there quickly and interrupt you before we go to the steering wheel. And that was my first initial thought. This car is very, very clean.
Yes.
And refined. Minimalistic is another word that comes to mind, which I quite enjoy.
Yeah.
Some of the cars we get into feels like you're getting into a fighter jet cockpit.
Yeah, you got to go to Russia for 9 months to their space program to learn how to operate the cars.
And this is, again, I'm going to throw it towards Apple versus Samsung. This is more like an Apple to me, where I have everything where I expect it to be and everything just works. Not like a Samsung. Samsung's everything's in the wrong place and wrong and doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what an Apple person would say. So, if you do want sophistication, by the way, you've got it.
Yes.
So, if we go to the center display with the driver information system and audio controls, etc., we've got it over here.
And this is all done from the center.
So, this center controller, literally, as the name suggests, controls everything. So, this is not a touchscreen. Okay. Unlike the CX-5, where if we stopped the vehicle, it became touchscreen. This is not a touchscreen at all, but I have to say that everything is very easy to use and intuitive. And you've got these nice menu buttons and shortcuts over here, and a favorites button. Okay. Another feature that I like, again, is the fact that I've got an analog volume button over here, so that when we are on a bumpy road or we're going around corners, etc., I don't have to struggle on a touchscreen to adjust the volume. I can plant my hand securely and make that adjustment on the volume.
Awesome.
The other thing that I wanted to go through, by the way, just in terms of the driving experience, was the sport function.
Yes.
And this really does make a big difference.
So it's not one of those buttons where you get a little bit more engine noise.
No. So what this does is it really does, if I put it in sport, it'll hold the revs at a higher range before it shifts down.
Okay.
So it's much more dynamic in terms of the rev range, and you can definitely feel the difference in throttle responsiveness. Okay. However, I did find myself only using this when I felt like I needed to do overtaking maneuvers, and then I found that I would go back to the comfort mode, because the comfort mode was dynamic enough, but very, very comfortable. And that also speaks to the gearbox itself. So the gearbox, this is a 6-speed auto. Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so all in all, Pete, you happy inside?
Yeah, no, I must say, I've had a great experience with the car. I love driving it during the week. So it's been a treat. And I, again, other than the positioning of the vehicle and perhaps the pricing of the vehicle, I'm once again struggling to find any negatives with it.
Awesome. Sure, Pete. I really enjoyed this little car.
As I say, I've had a great time for the duration that I've had it this week. And I'm struggling to find negatives about it.
Yeah.
Except for the price.
Let's get down to business. We have to rate the car, and I think, again, let's go with both our rating 1 out of 10, and then would you buy it or not?
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you start? You've had more experience with this.
So this is going to be a difficult one for me, because I really did have a great driver's experience with this vehicle. But I just think it's a very difficult vehicle to position between the CX3 and the CX5, and because of its pricing, I'm going to knock it down a bit. So I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, only because of that.
Okay.
Would I buy one though?
Yes.
Again, I don't think I'd buy one new.
Yeah.
I think I'd wait for a demo model or a pre-owned version of this, and then no doubt, I think this would be a great vehicle to purchase.
I'm going to go a bit higher than you. I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10 because it's ticking all the boxes again. And the reason for me deducting a little bit of points again is, yes, the price. But Pete, cars are $1 million and more these days. So
that's also true.
So at 470, is it really that bad? But again, like we said inside the car while we were driving, this is a very niche. So would you pay $470 for this, or would you buy a bigger car, for example, for the same price? But if you like Mazda, if you like the smaller SUV, this does tick all the boxes. Like we said, if we don't compare it to anything else and we looked at only this car, it does everything that it's supposed to do, and it does it well.
Yep.
So 8.5 out of 10, and I would buy it. I would definitely buy it. It would be a perfect little family car for my family. So I would definitely buy one. I'm not too upset about the price. I know comparing is the problem.
Sure.
We shouldn't compare.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's it. That's it from us, and we'll see you again next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah. So that was interesting, Pete, because
It's a difficult one to rate. Actually, it's been probably my most difficult vehicle to rate because it is such a good car.
Yeah.
But you can get a CX-5 for very, very similar pricing.
Correct. Yeah. Well, like I said, I think just don't compare it to something if that car alone is a great package.
No, it is. No doubt.
If you guys are interested in a Mazda, go visit www.bbgroup.co.za, click on the Mazda tab, and the guys will sort you out. All right, Pete, so I'm looking forward to this next interview. Should we go straight into
Let's
Guest of
do
the
it.
Week?
Let's do it.
Good evening, Joel and Annie. How are you doing?
Evening, how you guys doing?
Hello.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to actually see the people behind this magazine that's been around for so long, and we've almost grew up with it. But Peter sort of, he was older by then, so he's sort of, in his old age started reading this.
Oh, yes, I tell you
Well,
what.
that's actually good to hear. It's good to hear because you make us feel old when you say you grow up with it. So.
Doria, I'm going to kick him in the nuts after this interview. Don't worry. But listen, guys, Annie and Joel. But before we kick off with the interview questions per se, I need to ask a simple question myself, and that is, I need to understand your nicknames. So we've got Annie Christmas and Joel Batty Silva. How does that work?
I'm a Christmas freak. So if you follow me on Facebook, I count down to Christmas. I'm just
really?
one of those.
From
I
the
decorate-
26th of December, you start counting down to Christmas.
Yeah, 365 days to go.
Awesome.
And
Okay.
Joel, yourself?
I'm not entirely sure. Some fascination with comics back in the 90s, and I think it's just carried on. And maybe it's my tattoos because I got DC and Marvel tats. I don't know. It just happened.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we know you...
That's got nothing to do with my mental state. It's just
Now that we know you guys a little bit better, let's start, because the reason why we wanted to talk to you guys is that everybody knows the magazine, but not a lot of people, well, a lot of people know you guys, but not a lot of people know the story behind the magazine, and to get to know you guys a bit more on a personal level. So can we start off by pre-Speed and Sound magazine? What did you guys do before you started this journey?
I used to work at Tire and Tires selling wheels.
Okay, so then we have something in common, because I also used to do that.
What, were you also a twat?
Yes, yeah. So we've got a bit of a rubber.
He forced me to work there.
Really?
Yeah, just to get the free rims and tires.
That makes sense.
Clever man.
That
clever
makes
man.
sense. And Joel, from your side, our research shows that you actually started as a graphic designer. Auto Trader came up.
yeah. That's where I cut my teeth.
Really?
Yeah, I learned everything about publishing and the whole print industry and the design of it. So that's where I cut my teeth.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Okay, and then the next step. Tell us about what happened. How did this whole Speed and Sound thing happen?
Back then, there wasn't a magazine that really catered for our industry back then. So I think there was one magazine called Street and Strip, which folded more or less the time when we came out.
Okay.
So yeah, we just thought, let's just bring out a magazine, and we were young and dumb, and we tried what we could. And luckily for us, it kind of worked out good.
Yeah, definitely worked out. It's a bit better than just kind of worked out.
I mean, just think about the following.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you guys look at your Facebook following. You are a smidgen, literally under 2 million followers.
That's amazing.
And I want to put that in perspective for you. So I did a bit of research here, and I looked at the top 15 Facebook pages in South Africa. And you are really amongst illustrious companies. So Supersport Football has 7.8 million followers. Charlize Theron has 6.8 million. Yeah, 6.8 million. Trevor Noah has 6. AB de Villiers has 4. And yeah, David Miller, the cricketer, has 2.9. And you guys have got 2 million. That's a sensational amount of followers.
That's amazing. Yeah. High five. High five for that.
Wouldn't it be great if we were selling 2 million magazines?
Yeah, that's something that we're going to get to. We're going to get to that question a little bit later.
How do we get to that bridge?
Okay, guys, so for those who don't know, when did you guys start the magazine?
2000, year 2000.
Yes, so it's 21 years later and you guys are still going great, eh?
Yeah, we've got a bit older and grayer, but we're still carrying on. Our passion still flows thick as ever. We've got our readers and our supporters to thank for their continuous support. So, yeah, we're just carrying on month by month.
Amazing.
There's 2 things I wanted to sort of comment on. Well, one comment and one question. The first is that you seem to involve, I almost want to say, the man in the street in your magazine. You know, so you often see features on cars that guys have built.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're world famous people or that their cars are particularly well known. They're just enthusiasts in their own right, and you've given them this exposure in your magazine. So I think it's very cool. But I mean, obviously, over the last 21 years, you must have had some very, very interesting experiences with the magazine. Maybe if you could tell us some of your funniest or most horrific experiences that you've had over the 21 years.
People love taking us for rides, joy rides, to show what their cars can do. And it becomes, we've had a few instances where it's become quite scary.
Yeah,
sure,
so,
I can imagine.
As you get older and more mature, you tend to say, you know what, hang on, I'll rain check, you know.
Like a local drag strip, and
Yeah.
So we tend to avoid getting into people's cars that way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think everyone wants to prove to us how quick their cars is, how quick they are, what the car's capability is. And as editors and photographers, we have to get in to experience the car. And sometimes you get into cars that are like 1,000 horsepower with street tires, and there's street poles all over the place. You don't know what to do and how to react. So you just fuss bait and you hang on and try hope for the best.
That is amazing. Guys, I want to go back to the early years. Starting your own magazine surely must have been a huge and tremendous task. Can you still remember some of the first editions and how they were? And looking back at that versus what you guys are doing now?
I think every year has had its challenges with the publication. I don't think anything's come easy. Everything's a lot of effort behind the scenes. So when you see the publication, you say 20 years, that's great, but you don't realize the work and effort behind it.
Sure.
Yeah, I think looking back from edition 1, the first year, the editions were horrific. I mean,
the spelling errors, we swore, we had to make it fixed.
That sounds.
We didn't quite know where we were going with this, and we had to be guided, and our readers had to guide us. You know, we had several women that used to phone me and say, "Listen, Annie, my young child is reading your publication. Can you come down a little bit with the swearing or the woman on the advert?" And I think we just took guidance from who our clients were.
And then, then on the other end of the scale, we had the men saying, "Give us more, give us more women."
I mean, I was just going to say, I think it sounds like a fantastic formula that you had in the early days.
But if you have a look at the way that Max Power went in the UK, where they went over the limit. I don't think our society in South Africa is too accepting of that content in your face all the time on shelf. So we just wanted to create something that was home slice.
Well done for doing that, and I think that's great advice, guys. So thank you for putting that out there. I want to come back to you guys again outside Speed and Sound. Are you guys? Do you guys race? I've heard that you guys are both into racing yourselves, and what kind of racing do you guys do?
We haven't been on the drag strip for a while. I race a Mark 1, busy building a Mark 1. And a race car's never done. You're always busy tinkering on a race car. So hence, that's why mine's taken so long. And also just the money. When we built race cars back in the day, 10 years ago, the cost of turbos and pistons and all of that to put it together, it wasn't that bad. But now today, it's an arm and a leg. You've got to choose whether you want to send your kids to a proper school or build a race car. So, mine's a little Mark 1 Golf. Its name is Bob. Nice. I'm going to say this. Yeah, it was hoard around the industry, hence the name. Been to a lot of workshops. Okay. So it's my little hillbilly at the moment. And we're running TFSI Turbo.
Sure. And yourself, Joel?
That's a long story.
Okay, so if it's too long, then we don't have to go into it.
Yeah, I prefer to watch from a distance and see what's happening and give my wife support when she gets on the track.
Okay.
But we've had our fair share of racing. I mean, we've had numerous events, and we've hosted events, and we travel around the country with the whole team, and we went to every city and town. I miss it, but I think you start prioritizing stuff, and things happen, and kids happen, and they grow into teenagers, and then you start thinking, you know what, they're actually more important to me than cars.
I agree.
One day, hopefully I'll get back.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. Something new that I saw on your Facebook page, guys, is the Street Fighters. Can you guys elaborate a little bit and tell us what that's about?
So Street Fighters is a relatively new concept that we've introduced to our social media platforms. So every month what you do is we take 3 street cars that are similarly powered or run similar times, and we put them together on the track, and we do 400-meter runs, and we do a rolling run from second gear pull off to the 400. And we're on episode 3 now, and it's going pretty well. We've got quite a bit of good comments, and I think the readers enjoy it. It's something different. So.
No, we're really having fun doing that.
I agree, and it's very entertaining, guys. So well done on the concept, and I'm sure that this is going to take off hugely. I think Peter's got a question with regards to digital and
yeah, I mean, I think. Annie, in the beginning, you kind of said, how do we sell 2 million copies of the magazine? And I wanted to ask you your feeling in terms of which is more successful for you guys, digital or print. And the reason why I ask that is I still like print, for a start. I like the tactile feel and the smell of a magazine.
Yes.
But we've also seen on your Facebook page, there are quite a few comments where people are saying, hey guys, where can we get hold of your magazine? So there seems to still be a hunger for the print edition.
Yeah. Look, I think COVID shut us down last year. We were not on shelf for 5 months because we were a non-essential item.
Whoa.
So that hurt the brand pretty much. So that's why people are still battling to find it, because we're still under new distribution company. We're under a new print management, because our 20-year partnership had basically closed down last year. So we had to find ourselves and rebuild ourselves again. Your question about digital, I get nervous to answer this question because digital is a monster for print. It's something that we can't compete with, especially when it's carried in your hand every day. It's accessible, where you have to walk into a shop and physically buy a publication.
Sure.
We're quite lucky that we have readers that still enjoy buying our product and it's tangible, and we've created, that kind of feeling for it. But I'm nervous to answer that. We did go digital last year when we did a video magazine. And our concept was just to put out a video content publication with no writing in it. And we did that for 5 months. If we had 80 subscribers to it, it was a lot.
Sure.
And the effort that went into just every photo shoot was a video and not a photo shoot.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of effort behind the scenes to try and get that video magazine to work.
Yeah.
If you ask me, digital in this country, I think we still need to latch on. I think print is a little bit lucky in a third world country at the moment. But saying that, my kids aren't buying magazines, so you wonder.
Yeah.
Well, I think from our side, and I think I speak for both of us. We would love to see you guys just carry on with the magazine, and wish you all the best with the magazine, because you guys have been such a part of our industry for so long, and we would just love to see that carry on for years and years to come.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that you guys are iconic.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's an accurate way of describing what you've created. And I think, we'll just go back to the number of followers you got on Facebook. It speaks for itself. And I think that, we're going through the experience of developing a digital environment for the show, and we realize just how difficult it is to create regular content of a high quality. It comes at a massive cost. So we kind of empathize with what you're feeling. But maybe there's a happy balance between the two.
No, well, I think both of our brands have the same synergy, where you guys are passionate about what you're doing and we're passionate about what we're doing. So if that flows through your veins, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah,
agreed.
No, true story.
I've got some questions and comments coming on here from Hein Engelbrecht. He says it's really good to hear the success story, guys. Peter Pretorius would like to know, guys, from you the best drag times that you have seen. Maybe Joel, you can take that one.
Best drag times.
Yeah.
Best drag times that I've seen is obviously in America, in Maryland. Nothing compares to that, but local, I feel times have somehow stagnated a bit or slowed down, but there's signs of improvement. We just need proper tracks. We just need proper tracks.
Agree.
Yeah.
But I'm always rooting for the underdogs, so I'll watch all the goals. Anything for 10 seconds. Well done, boys.
Yeah,
okay.
Agreed.
Awesome. Peter also says, wishing you all the best with speed and sound. Okay, guys. So we're getting to a part of the show that I enjoy the most, and I didn't tell you guys about this on purpose because I didn't want you to worry or stress or anything like that. It's called Game Time. Okay, guys, so this is how this works, and it's always topical. So I choose 7 cars or pictures of cars or bikes or whatever the case is, and we are only going to show you a partial of that picture, if you understand what I'm saying. You guys then have to guess the car. All right, so it's a guess the car game. So tonight we've gone for some modified cars, if I can call it that. There's 7 pictures, best out of 7 wins. How does it sound?
Let's do it.
Okay, awesome.
So just, I think you need to, there's 2 things. First of all, you need to shout your name out in order to answer the question. Fritz does give a bit of lag time to you guys because you're over the internet. And the second thing is that in 50 episodes, I've only ever won 4 times. So the odds are severely stacked against me, which is why this man enjoys the Game Time so much, because it's opportunity to humiliate me in front of a live audience.
All All right, guys, and you guys at home as well, you know the game and you can play along. So if you know the answer, put the answer down in the comments below. Are you guys ready? If you know if you recognize it, just shout your name and I'll come to you. Right. Okay, guys, here comes the first one.
Annie.
Peter.
Oh, no. They were, even with the delay, they were quicker. What is that, guys? Joel and Annie?
That's a beautiful Honda. That's a Civic.
That is the Honda Civic. I picked that one and I gave it the first spot, Joel, because I understand that you are the biggest Honda fan ever.
Say it again.
All right, guys, this is going according to plan. 1-0 to Team Speed and Sound, and here comes the second one.
Annie.
Peter.
Oh, Annie was first. Annie, I'll come to you.
No, I was going to say Camaro, but it's a two-door. No, I'm wrong.
Okay, Peter.
Okay, I'll come to Peter.
And I'll qualify how I know this, but that looks to me like a, I don't know if it's an A5 or an RS5, but it's an Audi A5 type of
I'm
vehicle.
seriously impressed.
Yes.
I'm seriously impressed. Well done, Peter. Okay, so it's all tied up at 1 each. Are you guys ready for the next one? Here comes number 3.
Oh.
I can't even see the screen.
Joel.
Joel, I'm coming to you.
E36 M3.
Well done, Joel.
Sure. Yes, but these are modified.
That's the E46. E90,
That's
you're right.
E92.
Okay, but I'm just gonna go like this because I make the rules and I'll give you the point. How's about that?
Good man.
Okay,
Good man.
okay, well done. Okay, so Team Speed and Sound in the lead, 2-1. Here comes number 4.
I can't see.
Joel.
Yes, Joel. What is that?
That's one of those American Chevys. Those Camaros.
You
Chevy
close.
Camaro.
You close.
Is it?
You close. It's American, yes.
Okay, so Peter, Ford Mustang.
Yes, Peter. How's about that?
You know, there's a very similar looking one at Vatswaye.
Yes. I don't think it's got the lights.
It doesn't have the lights and the wheels, but it's black like that one. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so it's all tied up at 2 each. Are you guys ready for number 5? Here it comes.
Yeah.
Peter.
No ways, Peter.
Yeah, that's definitely a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That one I made very difficult, so sorry about that, guys.
No, that's lovely. That's lovely. And you got it from the rear. You wouldn't have, we wouldn't have got that.
But that's my ultimate car because it's just so in your face and it upsets environmentalists. So it's a double win for me.
Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask Fritz to switch off Peter's mic.
You've got a big camera in front of the monitor.
And then we're going to come to number 6, and here is number 6.
Jeez.
Yes.
Annie.
Yes, Annie.
Annie.
Yes,
It's the
Annie,
Jeep.
what is that? Yes, it's the Jeep.
It's the angry Jeep. Those angry Jeeps they're building at the moment.
That's correct. That's
Wrangler.
the Jeep Wrangler.
Oh, it's a Wrangler. Look at that.
Just look at that.
Yo,
Jesus.
another environmental nightmare. Love it.
That is pretty awesome. I would hate. That's probably like 300,000-500,000 rands worth of extras on that car. That's silly.
We need that at the moment with all the potholes in Joburg. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all come down to the last one, guys. And I can tell you that this is difficult. So it's all tied up 3 each to Team Speed and Sound and Peter Yun. The guys are enjoying online, joining us as well, and I see a lot of laughing faces. So Joel's very serious. Check how he's moved forward. He's waiting for
He's
this
moved
next
forward. Competitive.
Okay, here's the last one, guys. Ready, go.
Annie.
Annie,
I know what
please
that
get
is.
it. Please
I know
get
what
it.
that
Please get it.
Peter, if you can't get it, Annie. Peter.
Across the neon.
Yo. I'm sorry, this is difficult.
Peter, I'm going to say, Peter,
Yeah?
Fiat 500 Abarth.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Guys, I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Next time what I'll do is I'll send you the answers before the show, okay?
Thanks, man. You'll just make us look good.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. It was an honor to have you on the show. You guys are really a huge part of our industry, and it was great to talk to you, and all the best for the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having
guys.
us.
Great privilege.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
All right, guys, now we're moving on to our second to last segment, and this is how things work. And in tonight's segment, Professor Peter, or let's say Prof Peter, is going to tell us all about air suspensions, and this is proudly brought to you by Suzuki Auto South Africa.
Welcome to Let's Talk Automotive, and in this week's segment on how things work, we are going to be talking air suspensions, and specifically I'm going to show you how air bellows work on an air suspension system. So where do we find air suspensions typically? Well, first of all, a lot of really luxurious upper-end vehicles may come standard with air suspensions. But you may also have seen air suspensions in action on some heavy commercial vehicles, especially on the trailers. And sometimes when you're driving behind those trailers, you might have seen these two very big black air bags, as they're called, and that is the air suspension system on trucks. All right, so how does an air suspension work? Well, in its basic form, what we do is we actually replace a steel spring. Whether it's a coil spring or whether it's a leaf spring, we replace those springs, those steel springs, with air bags. And that air bag becomes the spring. So how does that work? Well, essentially what we're doing is that we're taking the same principles as a tire, which is also made out of rubber. A tire gives us some sort of spring rate, and an airbag is no different. So we pump that airbag with a certain volume of air, and the resistance of that air compressing gives us our spring effect. Now, you would have seen on premium cars, for example, that you have preset settings that you can press, because we've got a few things that we can do with air suspension. The first thing that we can do is we can change the ride height of the vehicle according to how much air we pump into the bellow. The second thing that we can do is that the amount of air pressure that we put into the bellow might also stiffen up the suspension a little bit for us. So as I said, on the premium cars you have preset buttons that you can press, and it'll either give us a sporty suspension setting or a different ride height on the suspension setting. Similarly, if we put a trailer or something heavy on the rear of the vehicle, that air suspension is going to auto-level the vehicle by pumping more air into the air bellows. Now, the good news is that you don't have to necessarily purchase a very expensive premium vehicle to enjoy the benefits of air suspension. There are some brilliant aftermarket kits that are easily available, even in South Africa, that you can purchase and retrofit to your vehicle. So we're going to show you pictures now, for example, of what we can do with a bakkie, where we can remove a leaf spring just to soften up the suspension, and we then place a rubber air bellow between the spring and the axle itself and the chassis, and that then becomes our air suspension. With the aftermarket kits, we can also get quite sophisticated in terms of having things like cab controls in the bakkie, a compressor that will pump up the air bellows, and in fact we can even have an accumulator, which is a tank that stores air under high pressure so that we can have air on demand as we press a button in the cab. Or we can make it very simple and just have the air bellows by themselves with an air line that goes up towards, for example, the fuel filler cap, and if we want to pump up air into the air bellows, we simply go to the garage
and we use the same compressor hose that we'd pump our tires with to pump up our air bellows. And if we want to release air out of it, we simply hold down the nozzle and let the air out. So what are the advantages of air suspension per se? Well, there's quite a few. The first is that air bellows actually isolate vibrations much more efficiently than steel springs. And there's a few advantages with that alone. The first is that there's less vibration harshness that comes through to the cabin. So as occupants, it's much quieter for us and much more comfortable. We are literally driving on air. The second thing is that because it is efficient at reducing vibration harshness, all the components within our suspension, so our bushes, the suspension components themselves, our bodywork, and in fact items on the vehicle itself will last longer as a result of not having the same level of vibrations that are translating through to all those systems. And that also talks to items that we might be transporting. So for example, if we're transporting sensitive computer goods, hard drives and the like, or even food for that matter, air suspension will look after everything that is on board. And that is why, for example, and let's just put it out there for Woolworths. Woolworths uses a company called Fast and Fresh to transport all their goods. And those vehicles have to have air suspension fitted to them. So it's no coincidence that that crisp lettuce that you find at Woolworths is in fact crisp. It's because it's been transported very carefully on air suspension. So those are some of the advantages that we have from air suspension, but of course there's always good with bad, and there are some negatives of air suspension. And one of the things that we've got to get to grips with is that air suspension, because it's predominantly made out of air bellows, is a wear and tear item, and it is subject to fail and it is subject to wear. And we've got to get used to the fact that just like we have to replace tires on our vehicles, we're going to at some point have to replace those hard-working air bellows. Now, typical failures that can occur either with the air bellows or the suspension itself include the air bellows suffer from dry rot. They're made out of rubber, and unfortunately they do crack and therefore create leaks as a result. Air bellows also don't like moisture, so that's why we have dehumidifiers as part of the circuit of airflow into the air bellow. So if that dehumidifier fails and we get moisture into the air bellow, it also causes problems. Very, very seldom will the air bellow actually tear as a result of a stone getting wedged in it, for example. So it's most likely going to be either dry rot or, in fact, moisture that causes the air bellow to fail. Now, can we do anything to lengthen the lifespan of that? Well, first of all, yes. In fact, one of the things that we can do is use our air bellows. So at least once a week, change the ride height on the vehicle and get that air bellow to work. The second thing that we can do is we can put a water-based silicone onto the air bellow. So the air bellows then will be protected from dry rot as well as moisture. Now, the reason why it works to use the air suspension is because the manufacturers of the air bellows actually embed a form of wax into the rubber. And when that air bellow works, that wax then is raised to the surface of the rubber, and that affords some protection as well. All right, so those are the disadvantages of air suspension, but I've got to say, on the whole, if you have a look at the cost saving that you get by protecting all the other components on your vehicle, plus the ride comfort and the convenience of being able to adjust your suspension height, I personally think that air suspensions are fantastic innovations, and if I could afford it on a vehicle, there's no doubt that that would be one of the specifications that I would apply. Okay, so that's it on air suspensions. I hope you found that information useful and helpful in terms of if you are deciding on whether to buy a vehicle with air suspension or not. And we look forward to seeing you on future episodes of How Things Work.
So as always, very, very informative, Peter Viljoen. Thank you very much for that.
It's a pleasure. Just I wish I had more time. You know, we've got to cram these things in. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd put it out to the viewers that if you want more detail on some of the things, then maybe we look at doing another episode.
Yeah, and why not ask the viewers if there's anything that they would like us to discuss, a topic or a product or whatever the case is, you can throw that out to us as well in the comments, and we'll definitely get onto that.
100%.
Okay, so unfortunately we've dropped Tappet of the Week just because of, I don't know.
Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, okay, so let's just leave it there. So what we decided to do is still end off with a laugh. Okay, so we've got a new segment for you. It's called Meme or Memes of the Week.
Yeah, Meme of the Week. So yeah, let's have a look at our first. How many that we've got?
I think there's about 4.
Okay, and what we'd also...
Okay, so you might have seen these, but these 4 memes I just found extremely funny, and some of them is just up your alley. So let's have a look at the first one. And suddenly an oven.
I mean, I'd love to have seen the insurance form for that one.
That must have been amazing. Okay, here's one that we've spoken about a lot on the show. Yep. Meanwhile, at VW's Emissions Test Center, that's another pass.
Yeah. Oh,
this is just a classic. Do you have any idea why I pulled you over?
That's the American version of an R200 form.
Yes, the R200 form that you might know as well here in South Africa. Very nice. I'm sure you got off. And I hear that there's a new sort of racing series that's starting in France.
Oh, she's funny. I can see you're going to be sleeping on the couch tonight, mate.
There's the Le Mans at the top and the Le Mans at the bottom. But anyway, I just thought that was funny, and we had to end off on a laugh.
You're very brave. But listen, maybe what we should throw out to the viewers is that they can submit some memes as well. So if you pick up some memes that you see, we'll showcase those. And maybe extra points if you make a meme.
Yes.
How's that? So local memes, I think, is the way to go. Yeah.
I like that. Here's one. Peter Pretorius says wheel bearings. We haven't done wheel bearings. After how many kilometers must they be replaced? Well done, Peter. We'll get onto that. Definitely. Very nice point.
Okay, cool.
Okay, guys, that's the end of the show. And also, at episode 50, that is the halfway mark for this season. So we're going to be on a 2-week production break, and we will be back on air at the same time, at the same place, right here on Facebook and on YouTube, on the 8th of July 2020. Where are we now? Where are we?
2021.
2021.
But also, just a shout out for tonight, Sasha and F1 Pitbox.
Right now,
exciting,
3 minutes.
Exciting racing to come, so we need to get off the air because I'm sure Sasha is waiting to start the F1 Pitbox.
Awesome, guys. Have a good one and a great week. We'll see you back here on the 8th of July.
Cheers, everyone.